One could argue that when fighting corruption or in the process of eradicating corruption, it is not just the duty of the government, but the citizens have a role to play. So the only thing, I mean, Gambians, in our own level, that we are helping. We are helping corruption, or we are helping the government to become. Because as citizens, we have the right to vote government in, and we have the right to vote them out.
Exactly.
So what if we talk about government being corrupt? We have had the Barrow government talk about many things before 2017 election. Sorry, before 2021 election. He talked about bribing the National Assembly by giving them 10,000. That was an open, everyone heard it. Okay? He's talked about many things that in politics you just talk, when you come to power you can't deliver everything. So the only thing, after the citizens hearing all those stuffs and they are still voting them in, then I think, I mean, we are just helping. We are feeling the corruption in our country.
I had a discussion with somebody a few days ago. The person I think voted for President ADAMA Barrow during the 2021 presidential election. I told the guy, whenever the president fails, if the president fails, the entire country fails. But the president is the boss driver. The president is the one that's responsible to propel us to the dreamland. I will take the failure, but I will not take the blame.
But how? We are even
I never voted for the president.
No, but
I never voted for the president because... No, let me come. Let me come. If here, all of us said we are going to elect him as the president, both of you, you've looked at him, you've assessed him. Based on your reasons, you think he's competent. Two of us, we think he's not competent. We voted for somebody else because we believe that person has the blueprint, has all what it takes, the consistency, the track record, everything to lead us. And you voted for him. His failure will have an effect on all of us.
Yes.
But I will not take the blame for him.
Well, I think you
because I did not vote for him.
Well, I think you should take the blame.
That is
no.
Let me
come. I think let me come. Okay, can I pose this question? Let me be in control. Let me be in control.
I will not take the blame for President Barrow's failure. But the failure has a negative impact on me.
I know.
Because I knew that when I was voting, he does not have the blueprint. Yes. He does not have the track record. He does not have the intellectual pedigree to drive us to the dreamland.
Well, talking of the issue of not taking blame, I think you should be taking blame.
I cannot take blame.
Okay. The reason I said that is because you as a citizen, you have the duty, you have the responsibility to talk to your fellow citizens and convince them. Well, the question is whether we are willing to convince our brothers in order to do the right thing.
What do you know?
I don't know you.
Zatama knows me.
No.
But I cannot compel people
you
to
cannot
subscribe to my ideas.
Yes.
But it is incumbent on me to present my ideas to people. It is left to you and your conscience as to whether you will subscribe to my idea or not. And I did that. And that was not only a right, it was a duty that I executed. By going out, reaching out to those that are close to me, giving them cogent, giving them tangible, substantial reasons as to why they should have voted for my candidate. So if they fail to vote for my candidate and they voted for somebody who failed them, I will not take that blame. But the failure will have an impact on me.
Yeah, so what about the corruption within
the citizens?
Because when we talk about the government, it's vague.
And I think somebody was talking about the literacy rate. It's not about, I can tell you most of the corrupt people in this country are the educated ones. So I think Gambia, we have to go back to the drawing board. We need to still, maybe it's all about educating people. That is it, because if you look at it, the incumbent, even the yesterday election shows, most of the people that vote for them are those that are living within the rural Gambia. And we know the quality education. Education also needs to be democratized. Let it be decentralized, democratized. Let it reach to that land called Sudwal. Let there be quality education. Educate the people, the young ones. Let them know why they are Gambians. Let them know whether why they should see Gambia before themselves, why they should see Gambia before their party and so on. We need to democratize education. We need to decentralize it so that you could reach out to those people. But like I said, I will reiterate. In fact, I will emphatically put it to you that I will never, ever take the blame for the failure of President Adama Barrow, because I never subscribed to him. I never voted for him. But his failure will have a negative impact on me.
Well,
because he's the president. But I did not want him as my president before. And now I do not want him as my president. I don't know what the future holds. I might only subscribe to him if he changes his ways.
Well, I think that is powerful there. Well, okay, Musa. One might say one of the ways in which we could develop as a nation, and if that part is not corrupted, then we can be well developed. That is the issue of agriculture that he has talked about. I mean, we have made to believe that most of the PhD holders are in the agricultural sector.
Most of the educated people.
And yes, and in this, the 2023 budget, lots of billions have been allocated to the agriculture, to the agricultural department. But what has been done? Gambia is still not able to provide food for herself. And we are meant to believe that most of this money, people would say, is mostly spent on workshops and seminars instead of implementing or using the right track in order to do the right thing. So that means the place is corrupted. What is your take on that?
Yeah, okay, thank you for asking that question. When you talk about agriculture, it means a lot. As some people will say, agriculture is the backbone of a country's development, something like that. So, saying that most of the PhD holders in this country are in fact in the agricultural sector. Yeah, one can say that, and that is a fact. But we need to understand one thing here. When we talk about education, we can have education in the theoretical aspect and education in the practical aspect.
That's true.
You can understand it, but now how do you implement what you've understood, or what you've understood in the teaching or in the learning field, I can say. So at some point, I can say that yes, we have PhD holders by theory, but then we do not have PhD holders by practical. So when we talk about the educational system, I heard Brian talking about the educational system.
No. Before you move, I think you need to clarify that. You haven't answered my question.
Okay.
What I'm trying to tell you is, the Gambia,
Yes.
we talked about, agriculture, and we have vast lands to invest on in order to be self-sufficient. But people believe that that place is corrupted and it's not being well taken care of. That's why we are still suffering as a nation.
Okay.
And this is due to corruption, or due to the corrupt activities of officials that are supposed to take care of that place. Places like Sapo, Jahali Pacha.
Yeah.
These should be places of, we should be proud of. But what is happening with all the PhDs? Nothing is happening. And there are lots of billions, allocated to the agricultural sector.
Yeah. Now I understand the question. I get the question. Okay, but even though, like what I've said earlier, that is we have the theoretical, PhD, not the practical. And also, if we are talking about the government here, we're going to just say the government have spent, budgets for this amount of money in the agricultural sector, but then the agricultural sector is not doing up to expectation. You do not expect the agricultural sector to operate like that. Obviously, we need people, we need personnel who they are ready and willing. How many patriotic citizens do we have in this country? They are ready and willing to embark on agriculture.
Now the question is,
okay,
is the government considering that?
The government is considering that. That is why the
Wait. You just told me that people with the right, we should be put there. But it's the government that is, choosing. It's the government that is employing those people to be there.
Yeah. So what the fact is, the ministers, we have theoretical ministers, PhD holders, but then now the citizens are not willing. That is what I'm trying to say. How can you, employ people when they are not ready or willing to work in the agri sector? Today, as we speak, if you go to the Gambia College, believe me that many citizens, in fact, will go to the teaching field and go in and study.
But do you know many people are going for the agricultural department?
Only few are going there. It is just now that it is increasing. But then you cannot compare that of the Gambia College with those that are working at the teaching area with that of the agri area. There are very few. So it would be like the government is
it's not about the government. It should be, if you want people to show interest in something, you have to show them that there are so many opportunities here. Let the government invest more in the agricultural sector, and if the Gambians, young people, realize that of course it is possible to break through the barriers, if you are a farmer, to break through economically, I can assure you that you will see many people that will be engaging in farming. You will not have Gambians that will be going outside for this backway and stuff. Instead of going to backway, they will go to the farms in the rural Gambia because they will know that it is possible to excel if you are doing agriculture in this country.
Yes, what is your take?
No, my take is like with regards to the problem is our mentality towards agriculture, how we perceive agriculture. What are the ways in which we look up towards agriculture? How do you think we can make something out of agriculture? That is the rule that is not being established. That is the main idea that is not established.
What if they think the place is corrupted?
No, like you can say the place is corrupted. We are not actually saying there is no corruption. But how can we mitigate that corruption in that area? That is where the point is.
So To you,
Yes.
do you think there are efforts being made in order to mitigate that?
To reduce that is a collective responsibility. You cannot put it just at the side of the government or just the employment.
Right.
It is a collective one. We need to work together as one people and make people understand that agriculture is the sole backbone of our country. And in order for us to develop, in order for us to live in tranquility, remember, if the stomach is not actually full, the mentality cannot actually think and put right ideas in place. So therefore, we need to put that things in order also. And then looking onto different factors in the same domains of the agricultural system, you will realize that, as my boss says, most of them are theoretical agriculturists, rather they are not practical. If you go, especially in the Gambia college, you are supposed to, those people who are, who want to go into agriculture, those people have been taken to the farms, or there still have been projects that are implemented in the Gambia college, where those people, when they go, they will not be taken to class to be, so that they will be, theories will be, they will be asked to memorize theories. No, they should have been taken to the land, show them how to do it, where to do it, when to do it, and give them the right, material for them to go, and meet the people and tell them this is how to do it, where to do it, and when to do it. With those ideas, with that practical idea, then we will be able to. In fact, I have a master plan for the agricultural system of this Gambia. Like, if you look at the Gambia, we are divided into, like, let me put it into these 5 regions here. All right, in these regions, and if you look on the climate itself, you will realize that there are certain areas, even in our land also, there are certain areas, if you grow some kinds of crops, they do well. Other areas also, they do well. So we should be able to analyze that. When we analyze that, then we look onto each domain where we are going to have, we know that this actually, if you look into the compost going towards green, we know that fruits do well there. So let us implement projects with regards to fruits and so forth. There we will implement our projects on fruits, then we will establish more projects on fruits, and also we will produce more fruit. Go onto the other areas also, coming towards the foliage and so forth. You will see that vegetation is very good there. Then implement those projects and go to other areas also around the Jahali Park, where rice those do well. Implement those projects. Go to areas also, implement those projects. Basi and the other end, you have the lifestyles. Alright? Agriculture, we are not only talking about the farming aspect, but also the lifestyles. Have those adequate lifestyles, produce them adequately, put them in a manner in which they will be able to produce something. Now, within those domains, produce markets, all right? Produce market within them, and also provide stores, provide manufacturing industries in those domains. Then therefore you will realize that if you are able to manufacture juice or fruits, those fruits, if you are able to manufacture them into juices, that maybe people in the Fonyi, they make juices. So now if you manufacture those ones, take those juices to the people of Fonyi, sell it at a low price, and then take the vegetable. The people of Fonyi, they already have those vegetables there, and that the surplus, use other ones for them to use as food and so forth. Some of them take them to the market and take it around the compost. Those people need it. Yeah. All right. It will take a lot of time. Maybe I will reserve that, and we'll come.
Yes. Well, one would even question still. The place is corrupted. That's why all these things that you are mentioning are happening. So, Sirif, I want you to tell me something about this whole issue.
Yeah, exactly. The place is corrupted. That is the bottom fact. A simple reason is, you look at it, Chinese, they said, teach me, I forget. Show me, I remember. Involve me, I understand. Meaning, once you are involved, you will be able to understand. But the question here is, government itself, they should have put more emphasis on the agricultural sector. In the sense that, they are the people putting personnel there, like ministers or workers in the agricultural sector. Put the right people there. Musa put it here. We are having theoretical ministers rather than practical ministers. It's the responsibility of the government in order to bring us practical ministers in order to practicalize. The simple reason is, considering the fact that the Gambia, in terms of GDP, we are very, very low. That is why we cannot compete in the global market. So government, knowing very well that our land is very good in terms of agriculture, that is, we can utilize it in order to boost the economy of our country. One of the ways in which you can do that is, once you invest into your agricultural sector, there are certain areas that you need to prioritize. The key thing is storage and processing industries. But do we have those things here? I am not denying the fact that government is trying to invest into the agricultural sector. But then we need to behave in a manner planning for the future. Gambians, we need to change. For us, we do not think about yesterday or tomorrow. The only thing we think of is the present. Just farming, get my harvest, fine. But now, this harvest, can I keep this thing for 6 months? Can this harvest sustain the whole country? This is a thing that we need to consider. For example, if you look at the issue of tomato. Tomato, it is planted in the Gambia. It is very, very good. But the thing is, can we sustain it for a long period of time without it getting spoiled? That is the thing. You look at our groundnut. It is being reported that our groundnut is infected with the aflatoxin. As a result, the Europeans said that our groundnut does not even fit for their animals' feed. This is an insult to our nation. Our groundnut does not even fit for their animals' feed. And then that is what we are feeding on. So this is a thing that we need to consider, because groundnut is a cash crop that we normally export. So if what we are exporting is not valued outside, then we need to look at manners or ways in which we need to mitigate that. That is one aspect of the story. You look at the other aspect, people have been complaining of these chickens that they normally bring of the left. You will never see the right. Yes. This is also another thing. If you look at agriculture is a vast area. It's very, very huge. Do you understand? So instead of bringing those chickens, which we term as chickens that are not healthy to our body, because even the bones inside, you try to chew them, it's very, very soft and easy. And we all know that bones are one of the characteristics of bones. We say bones are very, very strong due to the presence of calcium, phosphate, and the like. So if we are saying that bones are strong, but now the bones that we are finding in those chickens are not good, there is a theory that says that the simple reason is those chickens have been infected with what? A chemical. If you go to the labs, the scientific labs, there is one chemical in which they normally keep their specimens in. So that is exactly where they normally put the chicken. So once they put the chicken there, it will try to soften it. So therefore, it is not something that is good to our health. But now we can empower our agriculturists, our young agriculturists, being involved into it, especially in terms of the poultry, and then we can get chicken for ourselves. Take a look at Senegal. They don't no more import chicken into their own country, but instead they promote their young poultry farmers to be coming.
Yes.
So as he rightly put it, it's just showing them that if you come, you can make it. But Gambians, unless you show us we see it, we do not believe it. So that is the concept.
Yes. Okay. Biran. So I would want us to, you guys to give us something. You want to say something?
I want to say something.
Okay.
Okay, City Pastor, he talked. Yeah. This is the problem with people like City or Gambians.
So are we diverting the conversation?
No.
It is.
Let's take to the government.
It is good to criticize.
Yeah.
But you give criticism with solution. Okay? And also, as citizens of this country, we need to understand one thing. We always blame the government. But what have you done for the government? I think this is a question that we should ask ourselves.
Who is the government?
What has we done for the government?
Okay, who is the government?
Okay? So, with regard to what he was explaining, that is the issue of our groundnuts not being fit for purpose and the chickens as well. Here, we have ministers. But now, do we have those citizens who know that they are experts, they are well trained enough, who know that they will go and check our grounds if whether they are infected with these diseases and how do we, cure these diseases? And do we have the money to buy the chemicals and cure these diseases? The same thing applies to the chickens as well. So I believe we need to understand one thing, our mentality. So if the youths are not willing to work in those areas, the agri departments, what are we going to do? Budgets are being made. A lot of money is being invested in our agri sector. Adam, you need to pardon me. I have to give something with regard to the topic at hand. Okay. I believe at some point we deviated. So the Gambia, corruption, the rate can be reduced. That is looking at the commissions that have been set up, the TRRC especially. Almost, it is through the TRRC that we were able to know the amount of people that died during the time. Almost 207 people, according to the TRRC.
But are you going to say those people died corruptly?
Wait, let me come. It is as a result of the I don't say all of them, but most of them.
Well, I think you should.
Let me complete this.
No. TRRC as Biran put it, was mainly it was a fact-finding mission. Understand? Now, you talked about the issue of China Commission. They did everything. They have submitted their reports. What has been done?
Okay. The TRRC is a fact-finding commission. But also you need to understand one thing here. The TRRC have taught a lot of Gambians of the things that happened in the past. The TRRC have help us to, in order to promote democracy in this country. It is because of the TRRC at some point I will say that we are able to have this discussion. The TRRC is able to make us to be aware of our rights as citizens of this country and our duties as well.
No.
It has in fact made the president or in fact the future presidents to be afraid of doing certain corrupt activities. And also, let me tell you one thing. What has the TRRC done? We have seen this man, how to call it, Yankuba Tule. He refused to testify and obviously he was jailed. So what do you want?
But can I? Okay, Musa, you've talked about something and I think I would disagree. That is, TRRC help us to know our rights. Come on, our rights have been stipulated to us in the Constitution well before the TRRC. So I disagree with that totally. But now, I mean, to end with, I want you guys to tell us, what do you think could be done to help this country?
But in
order to, we are done with the argument now.
Okay.
So I want you people to give us, or to give the viewers, the Gambia, as to what we could do.
How do we combat
corruption? This is affecting us. It's affecting us and it's going to affect the future generations.
Exactly.
Because this is a continuous process. The moment it is not mitigated, we know it might be very difficult to eradicate it as a whole, but we can reduce it because there are many countries doing it. So why can't we do it as the country, as the Gambia? So Bilan, what is your take? Just,
you're starting with me.
Yeah.
Okay.
1 minute 30 seconds. Yeah?
So we have to consider a commission needs to be established. There needs to be a law, like the anti-corruption bill. That bill needs to be passed. At least in that bill, it needs the content. Maybe it could be indicated there that if so and so is found wanting in corruption, these are the punishments that the person have to face. Severe punishments. So that will at least instill some fear in you that you should not be corrupt, because if you do so, these are the consequences. So also there needs to be strong institutions. We need to make sure our institutions are very strong. Let them not be weak institutions. Let's move from the concept of big men to the concept of strong institutions. Let us do that. So probably the third one could be better living wage. You have to also add up the salary of some individuals. Some people are engaged into corruption because of the petty salaries that they are getting, and those salaries aren't sufficient enough for them and their families. Especially if you look at maybe the police, this traffic and so on. We've seen so many individuals that have been given something to them. At least they leave those people to go, even though they've violated the laws. But if that police officer is having enough in his or her pocket, it will be difficult for you to bribe. I'm not saying because of the low salary that they are receiving is a justification for them to do corruption. I'm not saying that. But at some point, helping them to have a better salary could at least make them their conscience not to allow them to engage into it. So the final one at some point could be, what is it again? What is the word start? Yeah, I think those are the two that I could talk mainly about. And probably let the government also keep on collaborating with the opposition parties for them to deliver to our expectations. These are the things that we needed as a country. And I can tell you, it's not only Barrow's administration. I believe even during Jammeh's time, there were corruptions that were unfolding, but it was mainly centered. Even though you have some individuals that were engaged in it, but it was mainly surrounded by at one individual. If anybody is found wanting, he or she will face a severe punishment. But if Jammeh is the one doing it, it will be difficult for him to be facing some consequences. But Barrow's case is a completely different case. We've seen so many institutions where there have been corruptions, and we've seen that those individuals have not been, brought to face the commissions or to tell us why they've been engaged into these corruptions. So at some point, Jammeh's case, we could say it was mainly centered. But the reason why also we find it difficult at Jammeh's time to know some of these things were unfolding is because the media was not free, just like now. Now the media is very, very free. You can know some of the things that are unfolding in the various institutions. But Jammeh's own, the media was more of like control. And then we also seen with the coming of Barrow's administration, the proliferation of various media outlets has also helped us to know various informations. If Fatu Network is not telling us, here Fatu will tell us. Likewise, what's on Gambia and so on. So we have ways on how to tackle corruptions. We just have to make sure the institutions are strong, the commissions are established, and the commissions will have to work hand in glove with the anti-corruption bill, and also we have to make sure that we add up the salary of these individuals so that they will not be engaged with it. So that's it.
Okay. Thank you very much. Setting up right laws and in order to combat corruption. And as you talked about very important thing, that is the issue of the media. And I think access to information bill should be well fast tracked and make sure that people access information I mean, to those in public, positions to know the dealings of the day-to-day administration of our country. So, Musa, what is your final take? 1 minute, 30 seconds.
Yeah, 1 minute, 30 seconds. But because before giving my conclusion, I would like to go back to what you said. So it is not because of the RRC, because our rights are in fact in the constitution. But people were not educated about their rights. So because of the RRC, people were now educated. We've seen and we learned a lot from the past. So aside that, I would like to give a conclusion with regard how to fight against corruption. I said it cannot be eradicated, but the rate can be reduced. So one of the ways in which we can reduce the rate of corruption is having patriotic citizens, people who know that they love their country. Before you fight for your country, you need to love your country first. Put your country first. As Mamadou Kouram will say, let's vote for the party that puts the interest of the country before the party, and not the party that puts the interest of the party before the country. So we need people that are patriots in this country. Also, the way we, nurture our children, the upbringing of our children matters a lot. You cannot, I cannot have a problem with my younger brother. I just beat him and then I gave him $5 and say, when my father comes, do not report me to my father. So in the nutshell, you are trying to nurture the child on how to accept, corrupt things. So as a result, when the person starts to grow up, then obviously, when he mounts, certain posts, will equally be like that. And also, we need to come up with laws that are very strict. If you go to countries like China, if you are caught in corruption, you are killed. So in the Gambia here, if you are caught with corruption, in fact, people celebrate about you. So our mentality also as citizens towards the country matters a lot. Okay. So and then we really need to work hard towards national development. So these are some of the reasons I believe can mitigate or reduce the rate of corruption. Then and only then we can say that the Gambia is error-free from corruption. Thank you.
Well, I think that is very important. Let us not corrupt our young ones, isn't it? So, Sirif, what is your final take?
Obviously, let us not corrupt our young ones. Corruption is grown in the house, watered in the society, and harvested by the nation. So, as a result, we need not to do that. Most importantly, I would say one way to combat corruption is the mental ideology of corruption. You need to fight corruption mentally by yourself. They said the fastest way for you to leave something is when you put it up to yourself that I want to stop this, you will be able to stop it. Once we put in that mentality that corruption is bad, and I want to be part of the agents that will combat corruption, if everybody said I want to be one of the agents to combat corruption, obviously there will be no corruption. But the thing is, corruption in the Gambia here, when it favors you, you call it connection. And when it does not favor you, you call it corruption. So this is something that we need to avoid. This connection issue, let us leave it and try to combat corruption. We will know very well that it is corruption, but instead we will call it connection. So it is high time we stop this connection and then try to combat corruption. Thank you very much.
As a lot of my guys will say, corruption is corruption when they are corrupt. But when you are corrupt, we call it as an opportunity. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Some of the ways I believe in which we can eradicate corruption or actually mitigate corruption are various, but I will at least come with 2 points. One of the ways is that we need to rehabilitate our cultural system, our political culture. Unless and until we are able to rehabilitate our political culture. What I mean here is very broad. Our political culture, I mean our way of electing individuals who should be in those positions. We should elect people with merits, people that have the charisma, people that have the capacity, people who are honest, people who have the integrity, people who have this, people who see the national interest before their own interest, people who sees the development of the country, and not the people who sees the backwardness of the country. So, even if we are able to rehabilitate that culture, then we will be able to mitigate corruption. Because if we put the right individuals in the right position to monetize the right positions, therefore corruption will be eradicated. And the other thing also is that we need to put laws, as my boss mentioned here. We need to put laws. There should be laws that should be there to monetize those perspectives with regards to corruption. Corruption is actually something bad, and it's something actually which is actually very difficult to eradicate. But with laws, with rules and regulations, and not only putting the rules and regulations, but we need to implement them. They need to be implemented. We need to have people.
Thank you so much for that. Incredible. Deliberations. You people have said something really very important, and I think we should all work hand in glove and make sure we mitigate this. And one thing I always talk about is young people, because we know the older ones have already failed. So we shouldn't allow ourselves. Yeah, no, they have already failed, most of them. So I think we should be the one to take up the responsibility to fight what is right. And one thing I've also, I forgot the guy who said this, but he said there is a difference. One thing people do not understand is there is a difference between a political supporter and a political slave. And I believe, yes, and this is very important. A political slave is a person who, if the political leader says anything, whether right or wrong, the person celebrates. The person is like, yes, he's right.
Nodding your head.
Yeah, you're always like this. But a political supporter is a person whom, if the leader says what is right, they support. If the person says what is not in the interest of the country, then they oppose it. They put it at the right track. And I think that is one of the problems that is really affecting us in this country. We don't want to put our leaders at the right track. Even if they are wrong, we think, yeah, whatever they said is true. So I think we should do away with that as young people, and let us not follow the footsteps of the bad old ones. Okay? So as young people, I think we can change the status quo narrative. Thank you so much for watching, and watch out for the next episode. Thank you.